What is going on, you guys? MissedThePart here, back again with another really interesting video. And in today's Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales video, we're going to be talking about villains that I want to see, and I know a lot of villains that you guys want to see in the comments down below, because I just get so many messages just like, MissedThePart, how many villains do you want to see? Like, what kind of villains do you want to see? And I feel like Miles Morales in the spin-off video game will be really put to the test. Like, he will be put to the Spider-Man test. And one of those big bad villains I feel like he's going to have to fight to prove himself to be worthy as Spider-Man. Now, I know anybody can wear the mask, but, you know, if you're worthy enough to wear it, then go wear it. Because I feel like what's going to happen is we're going to get some crazy villains. I know that there's tons of villains in the Ultimate Comics that Spider-Man, Miles Morales Spider-Man, has faced in his time of being Spider-Man. There's just been so many different storylines with that character, and then him jumping ship to the 616 universe with that whole thing happening. And I just really want to see a lot of villains that have to do with the Ultimate comic books, like the Prowler. The Prowler is probably one of my favorite ones, Miles Morales' uncle. Now, that would be very interesting because after the death of Miles Morales' dad in Marvel Spider-Man, it would be really interesting if he started hanging out with his uncle, because you do know that his uncle is a father figure to Miles Morales. So to have that father figure around, you know, it would be really interesting to see that dynamic storyline of like, okay, like what if we end up having kind of like a Spider-Verse storyline where the Prowler actually works for Kingpin, and it's kind of like this whole thing, kind of like the Spider-Verse, and Miles Morales ends up figuring out that his uncle's the Prowler, or the Prowler figures out that Miles Morales is the brand new Spider-Man. Like, that kind of villain and hero thing would be very interesting to see. It's kind of like Spider-Man versus like Harry Osborn's Green Goblin, kind of like that, with like the friendships and the like the love and all that stuff going with it. Like all that relationship stuff would be really interesting to see. And another villain that I would love for them to actually do is the Sandman. Like, imagine if we had Miles Morales versus the Sandman. Like, that right there, I don't even know what I would do, because the Sandman, personally for me, is one of my favorite Marvel villains of all time. And it's just because all of his powers, like anything he can really do. Like, when I was fighting him in Shattered Dimensions, I was like, this is crazy. Like, you're doing all those missions. So I think having the Sandman in Marvel Spider-Man 2, either as a side villain or just a villain, would be really interesting to see. And I do think if he defeated the Sandman, that would be something really worthy of being Spider-Man for. Like, I do feel like if he ended up fighting him, like, there would be some crazy conflicts. Like, maybe Sandman like goes into a building and like he literally just destroys half of the building. Like, I would love to see that end up happening. And another really cool villain that I would love to see would be Mysterio versus Miles Morales. Like, if we ended up having Mysterio, Quentin Beck, fighting Miles, like, I don't even know. Like, the illusions, I could see it right now. Like, the illusions would be like Miles's dad, and he's kind of doing that thing kind of like Far From Home. And Miles Morales versus Mysterio would just be one of those things that's just like, okay, like Mysterio knows that this isn't, you know, the Peter Parker Spider-Man, so he's going to be able to toy with his memories. And, you know, if Peter's not there to save Miles, it's going to be really interesting to see how Mysterio would use a lot of his illusions onto Miles Morales, and how Miles would end up being affected by those illusions. Because I feel like if he ended up seeing his father again, like, he would probably think it was real. And I feel like, you know, Miles would fall for it at first, but then like Peter would tell him like not to fall for it after. So I do feel like that kind of villain would be another villain on my list that I would love to see. And one final villain that I would love to see on my list would have to be, well, maybe two villains. Yeah, we're gonna go with two more. Would have to be the Lizard and Ultimate Green Goblin. Now, I don't know, because those villains would be really difficult to do, especially Ultimate Green Goblin, but I would be getting Ultimate Spider-Man vibes. Like, just imagine that Ultimate Goblin fighting Miles Morales. It does seem a bit off because Marvel Spider-Man 2 will most likely have Green Goblin, so the only way to really do that is afterwards. But if they somehow did it beforehand, then I would love to see Ultimate Green Goblin face off with Miles Morales in an alternate reality. And the Lizard, like, imagine that, the Lizard versus Miles, like, that would be a true test. Because if you guys have read, like, what I would want them to do, if you guys read Torment, like Todd McFarlane's series, and if they do it something like that, where it's just like completely bloody and stuff, like, like classic Lizard in a video game, man, just fighting Miles. Like, I don't know what I would do. I think I would just go completely berserk, and those are the kind of villains that I would like to see. Now, there are some new villains that I want to get as well. Like, I want to get completely new characters, like maybe characters that aren't even made yet, and I think an honorable mention would have to go to Herman Schultz in there, right? So he needs to get his head beat in. So I mean, like it's crazy because like there's just so many different villains that we could literally see in this video game, and there's just so many I could go over. Like there's Lizard, Hobgoblin, Shocker, like Beetle, there's Poison. There's just so many different villains, and it's just like you look around the Spider-Man universe and it's just like you could choose anything, really. So I mean, personally for me, those are all the villains that I want to see. So let me know in the comments down below what kind of villains you want to see. Do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn your notifications on. If you guys want to support the channel, if you have, if you can, it doesn't have to be like a whole thing, but if you're able to support, why not get a MissedThePart t-shirt as well? But anyways, guys, as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.